feel like it's like seen that.
Yeah, a little bit, huh?
All right. What is going on, you guys? Blaise over here at the Blue Chip Athletic Club podcast. I'm stoked to welcome on my good friend, Tevin, Big Tev. I am going to, again, forego my laundry list of podcast sponsors and people in the show notes. And I'm going to preemptively tell you, because Tevin's doing some awesome stuff. If you guys are interested in finding anything that he's doing, we're going to leave it in the show notes of the episode as well. So you can find him. But without further ado, Tevin, welcome, dude. I'm stoked to have you.
No, man. It's been a
Tell me,
while.
tell me, and tell the people a little bit about you. Maybe origin story. You can go back as far as you want. Introduce yourself a bit, and tell us
Yeah,
why you're probably here.
yeah, for sure. Well, first off, man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out. This kind of wild path that my wife and I have been on recently, just with what we're doing with our company called Iron Links, which I'll get in here in a sec. But yeah, man, thank you for having us, or thank you for having me, rather. I know we go back probably, I think it's almost 10 years now between, yeah, Coast Guard flight school and mutual friends and everything in between. And so it's kind of crazy seeing us. I think we met when we were like, I don't know, 23, 24, and now we're old adults now, in our young 30s we got our wedding bands on and all this stuff. But we're not washed up though, so that's the fun part. But no, it's kind of cool. We're on these side quests now, as we're pretty solid into our professions. And I've been watching your thing go off for a while now, which has been amazing to see, and honestly been inspiring too. But yeah, this Iron Links concept that is relatively new. I mean, to me, this all I guess the premise of it all is I like like probably like a lot of people, there was COVID that kind of changed the dynamics of people's everyday life, whether it was out of whatever circumstances there was, and mine wasn't too altered in the fact that this is maybe a byproduct of it, but I guess in the sense I'm a post-COVID golfer, so in the recreational space, that's kind of where it changed some of my habits and hobbies. So I picked up the game post-COVID and immediately fell in love with it. Just being a former athlete, playing Division I football at Norfolk State, kind of having that drive and that just that willingness to want to perfect something and get better. This was a new niche for me and something that I never thought I would really get into, especially, I gravitate to the water by nature, just with obviously the Coast Guard, and on my days off, catch me at the beach or paddleboarding or whatever it may be. I never had imagined, on a nice sunny bright day, I'd be one with, a polo on playing golf. But yeah, I got introduced to the game probably about 2.5, 3 years ago, and I never looked back. And that was when I was stationed in Texas, flying the MH-65 Dolphins down there, and had a great group of friends, and it just became an awesome source of camaraderie and getting better together and getting better individually, and just the whole concept of the game was really cool to me. Fast forward a little bit, my wife and I moved to the DC area, where I'm still flying, but just in a different realm for, went from the search and rescue thing to the National Air Defense thing up here. The game came along with us, and the only thing that really changed was our surroundings, where the accessibility of the game wasn't as fruitful as I was used to. I didn't realize how spoiled I was. So that became the quote problem. It was like the accessibility of it all. And I was like, okay, well, there's a lot of working professionals here. It's more of the city life. How can I, uh, attack this problem where, for these working professionals and myself, it's like, I want to have time to be able to obviously do my job work, but also have time to, hit the range or go play. But at the same time, being a prior athlete, and just, I guess Arlington voted the one of the most healthiest, fittest cities in 2024, 2025. People want to work out too. And so how can I bring all these together in a sense where, time is the hot commodity, and it became, okay, I want to be able to put this under one umbrella, and that's being able to, work out, being able to play golf, and also in the sense of the recovery aspect of constantly taking care of ourselves, which I know you're really big into, is just, constantly revitalizing yourself so that you're a better person day in and day out. So that's really where it came from. I guess the general concept of it all. And it was born really from that problem of not having, I guess, the time or accessibility to do it all. But also, I guess, to be a little bit more transparent on why it went from an idea into something we're now a full blown passion project on, is because and I'll be pretty transparent about it. So obviously, so in the Coast Guard, we have this ranking structure where you go, from ensign to JG to lieutenant commander. So I was up to promote for lieutenant commander last year, and I checked all the boxes. All the T's were crossed, I's were dotted, everything was good to go. And then there was this clerical issue that popped up where my name was on a separate list. And I don't have to get too far into it. I mean, I can, but it essentially what happened was my name was along with a couple others, we were put on a separate list where there had to be a little bit more digging into, as far as like there was some clerical stuff completely out of my control that I didn't see coming, my command didn't see coming. And if you're familiar, if the guests are familiar with the ranking structure of the military, once you make lieutenant commander, that is your pathway to retirement. So here I am, I'm 13 years in, approaching 13 years in, and this is all I've ever done since I was 20. This is all I know. So this was my career path. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm on the golden path. I'm over that halfway hump, that 10-year mark, and I'm headed to to do 20. And I'm like, and this pops up, and this is all within the past 6 months. And so there's still a lot of confusion on exactly what's going on. Why is my promotion being held up? I see all my peers getting promoted. I'm still not being promoted. And, human nature is to start kind of freaking out a little bit, because I'm like, man, this is, I didn't have a plan B. This was it. This was kind of like, I'm just going to keep my head down. I love flying. I love the people I work with. I don't really have a reason to get out. I wasn't really, a lot of people are kind of jumping ship for the airlines. That wasn't really my thing. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I was like, what if this, there's a lot of questions are coming up. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so look back probably around September, October of 2025. So we're looking 3 or 4 months ago. My wife and I are walking on the trail. It's a beautiful fall day. And I'm just, this has been going on for probably about 4 or 5 months now. I was supposed to have promoted in August. So a lot of doubts circling, a lot of questions about kind of my career, my future, like our future rather. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what to do. My command, they're trying to figure stuff out too. So I'm walking with my wife, and I guess you can call this, our origin story. She was like, what would you do if money wasn't a factor? And I'm sitting here, and I didn't really need much time to think about it. And I was like, well, I would do what I would like to do on any off day, like what I'd probably do on any casual weekend. It's like, I want to work out and I want to golf. She's like, okay. She's like, and then without skipping a beat, she's like, then find a way to make her lucrative. And I'm like, okay. I was like, all right. And so we're driving to a wedding in down in North Carolina, and we just kind of we're just sitting there chit chatting, and kind of this brainchild is born of this project of like, well, why don't we legitimately look into something to, we already posed the problem. My problem was I want to work out and play golf, but also now the bigger overarching problem is like, I don't know what's going on with my career. So why don't we actually find a way to maybe pivot or turn this into something legitimate? And so that's kind of where it came from. It was out of almost want, and at one point need. And I guess I'll wrap up the career thing really quick, but I can go into it more later too. Is like that's all settled now for the most part. Should be on the path to I guess righteousness, to get made whole with the ranking thing and job thing. So that's all good. But I feel like at this point we've invested so much I guess time and effort and energy into this Ireland's concept where I'm like, no, I think like this is here to stay. Like we're gonna make this a thing like tangentially along with our careers because it's given us this passion project, something to be proud of on the side. You know, my wife does the sales corporate thing. I'm more than happy in the Coast Guard, but I know it's also not forever. And I see a lot of, I guess I'll call them my peers now, who are, you know, approaching that retirement point, and there's always that question like, what's next? I know I still have some time left, that 7 years until retirement, but it's like I don't wanna be encroaching that and not really knowing what's next. And I think between the both of us and the support, the amazing support we've been given, this is something that we can realistically do while being active duty, while she's doing her sales gig, and it's turned into like this little baby of ours, that, you know, we're full steam ahead and making it happen. And yeah, that's really it. That's kind of like the I guess the origin story, if you will, of where this came from. And you know, we're in the branding and marketing and admin phase right now, planning to start hunting for locations here come April. And right now we're just kind of polishing a few business things and funding and all that kind of stuff to turn it into what originally was a concept of just a space. Um, was it just a space to come to into more of a community and a brand.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like, there's a lot, I guess, to unpack in there too. One, like the military rank structure is just so interesting, and that, like, for anybody else who's listening to this who's in the military, you probably know, like, typically the way that it has been done in the past is like you're either ranking up or promoting, or you're getting out and you're leaving.
Mhm.
And like they used to say up and out, or up or out. Sorry. And the reality is like that's tough. One, even if you're doing everything right, and two, like everybody is telling you for the most part that's in and around your circle of people, whether that's in your command structure, the people that you work for, and they're trying to tell you and have you check boxes or wickets, to either have a path similar to theirs or have a path that they deem to be success in the service. And you know, I love my flying job as well. I think I've said it before to a bunch of people. Like, I'm gonna stop doing it when I stop having fun. And so far, I'm still having fun, so that's why I'm still doing it. But I think too, there's a lot of power into investigating like what you would do otherwise. And I think like I also give the analogy, and this is probably poor analogy, but the Coast Guard is like a Coast Guard and or military, whatever branch you're in, is kind of like a toxic girlfriend. It's like you're either going to dump her or she's going to dump you. It's just a matter of time. You can enjoy yourself while you're in it, but at the end of the day, someone's breaking up with someone. Whether you reach a point and you don't promote and then you're leaving, whether you reach an age and it's not a thing anymore, whether you end up going separate paths because your values shift. That's something that I think our service is really struggling with at this point, being in
Agreed.
the Department of Homeland Security. I guess I should caveat with like these words in this episode and podcast are definitely not that of the Coast Guard and or military in any way.
Thank you.
But yeah, there you go. We'll check
Yeah.
that box now. But that's the reality, right? Is like when you join, I like to give the analogy too. Like I joined to be an aviator and to do the search and rescue mission. And if you're joining a job, let's break it down to like you signed on to be a plumber, and now someone's telling you to be an electrician. It's like
Mhm.
I want to be a plumber, bro. Like I wanted to work on pipes, I wanted to do X, Y, or Z, and now you're telling me to wire up shit, and I'm like, I don't know if this is what I want. And
Yeah.
if the direction of the service is going to be an electrician, that's totally fine. But people need to be aware of that being the direction, and then potentially pivoting. And I think it's so great that your partner is sitting there and asking you a tough question of like, well, what would you do if money's not a factor? If you can chase something that you're passionate about. Similarly, it's kind of how this thing all started for me. Like it's you end up just finding something that you enjoy, and then ripping it. And it's so funny how you went from Texas, open space,
Yep.
less than metropolitan area, I'll call it, where you were, to now in Arlington in DC, where like space is a commodity. I mean, you're not building out, you're building up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're building up. We're from legitimately the bottom 10, like most affordable city in the US being Corpus Christi, to like the top most expensive, I think fourth rate ranked city in the US. So we couldn't have gone to a different spectrum to actually want to own more property, or at least not, or operate in more property. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely a
dude,
challenge.
it's insane. But again, that challenge still exists for everybody that's there, right? Like, hey, if you're in the city, not only do you need to drive 30, 40 minutes, an hour to go play, you're probably doing that for a range space. I mean, maybe there's a top golf around you, but they're kind of, you know, gimmicky to a degree, and it's not
Yeah,
necessarily
no,
the same type of community of people that are like kind of serious. It's like I feel like top golf's kind of like bowling, but for golf. It's like
yeah,
not.
no, you hit it right on the head. It's like we took the fam. It was a rainy Sunday last week, and we drove literally 45 minutes to an indoor spot, which was awesome. It was a great spot, but I was like, man, this is just for like a little like fun afternoon. Yeah, it was, and that's the other thing too. Like we don't want to be like those. That's what we want to differentiate with. Is like we don't want to be like that once a week or that once a month kind of fun spot. We want to be that foot traffic where you're coming 3, 4, 5 times a week, and that's why we want to implement that gym aspect too, so it can be something that's built into your routine.
Yeah, which is super cool, man. Like I've been to and been to like simulator bays, and I think that's super cool, and they'll like have typically like some amount of coaching if you want it. They'll have like
Yeah,
golf pros that are in there giving swing coaching and whatnot, and I think that's super unique. But for the most part, like they don't have any weights there. They don't have any recovery systems there. There's nothing that I have seen, at least in my time playing the game and being around it, that kind of brings together all of those things that you're talking about. And it's cool, even still, you're doing it in the DC area, which again, like people are business people, people are busy, they've got a lot of time. Like commuting there is a nightmare. Think about like all those factors that come into it. Like, hey, if you're able to bring this community of people that inevitably exists there because of the amount of business that happens, I'm sure, on a course when people leave, how do you maximize the effectiveness of that niche community? And it is super cool, man. I'm
yeah,
stoked to watch it grow for sure.
I appreciate it, man. We're really excited about it, and that's the thing too. Like we don't want to get too niche because we know everybody, golf's not for everybody, but we also want to be in a position where we can scale and also just have like kind of that brand identity where, our little motto, our mantra is the sim gym recovery, but we want to be, more in that ideology that it's something where you can hone your craft while working on yourself. I guess those are more one and the same, but also being intentional and taking the time to also better yourself in the sense of taking care of yourself. That recovery aspect, whether it's contrast therapy through the saunas and the cold plunges, or it's as simple as like your journey starting out with just proper foam rolling and stretching, one and the same. And you did hit the nail on the head too regarding the instructor aspect too. We're working with we have two local PGA instructors that we're going to bring in, and we're not necessarily going to be a staffed facility. We're going to have that unmanned model, kind of like your Anytime Fitness, where you have a key fob if you're a member, you have a 6-digit pin if you're just doing a la carte options, checking it out. But we're going to offer those instructional pieces too, where if you want to sign up for lessons, or if those instructors do have clientele, this is a space where they can do that at. Same thing with the fitness aspect as well. If the golf game is something you want to work on, we want to broaden it more than just like the typical. We want you to be doing exercises that can translate across just life. You're doing your deadlifts, you're doing your box jumps. I hope you're not doing those on the course, but those things do translate to being, just an overall stronger person. And then also the recovery aspect too. We're working with a muscle activation technician who will, he can give you a full diagnosis on seeing kind of what's hurting you, what can we work on. And he's not necessarily prescribing anything for you, but just showing on what you can necessarily strengthen in yourself that you may not know. And then, we'll entertain kind of moving into a space of having, kind of group sessions of whether it be yoga or Pilates or anything like that. But right now, we don't want to get too many branches. but also not limit ourselves to what it could be capable of. Just more of like a wellness club that is centered around the golf aspect in game.
Yeah, which is cool, man. And like the funny thing is that those mobility issues hurt you just not in the golf game, it hurts you in life, right? Like you talk about somebody, reeling up to hit a drive, if your T-spine is super tight and you have all these other issues in your hips and whatnot, like not only are you not going to hit the ball quite as far as you could, but also when you're carrying your kid around, when you're picking up groceries, when you're getting out of bed, like all those things start to translate over. So you're not only developing yourself on the course, you're developing yourself at home, being a better, parent, spouse, you name it. Like a lot of those things kind of start to come together. And it's funny how passions, whether it's sport, whether it's all these things, end up bettering yourself in another avenue of life, right? Like imagine somebody, we're working a lot more with the pilot community, which has been super fun for me, leaning into a space that I would honestly argue is like overpaid bus drivers. Like honestly, like what are we doing? We're sitting for 2, 3, 4, sometimes 8 hours in a day.
Right.
You're talking on a radio. You're probably not drinking water. You're probably have tight hips. You probably have awful posture. Like all of these things are real and real concerns that we have with people that we're working with. And oh, by the way, like there's nobody to help these people. There's nobody to find it. And if you're able to help fix somebody's chronic pain in the cockpit, you're going to fix that. And then you're also going to help build them up outside of there as a parent, get on and off the floor with their kids. Maybe their nutrition and their sleep is terrible and their recovery systems are not good. So yeah, it's just so interesting how like the health kind of intertwines with all the other facets of life. And then you end up kind of in this position where you're a different person, right?
Right, exactly. And I don't think like every day we're negotiating, and whether that's like interpersonal or whether that's with our bodies. And I think every day the older you get, you're constantly negotiating with your body. And the more you can persuade it that it's doing what it needs to be doing, that you're convincing yourself that you're doing what you should be doing. And that's simple stuff. I mean, that's why your coffee's brewing, that's stretching on the floor for 3 minutes. It's the little things like that that'll get you moving. And like you said, we want that to translate more, not just on the golf course, but in your day-to-day life. If you're moving better, you're feeling better. If you're feeling better, you're thinking more clearly, your mood is a little bit more approachable. I mean, there's just this, from your cardiovascular to your muscular to your nervous system, everything all translates across the board. And, we want to do that from like a simple aspect, obviously, where, it is centered around the golf game, but also it can translate to a lot more pieces on and off the course. Because like, they say, especially like in that business world, that's where a lot of the deals happen. That's where also you should be negotiating, or not necessarily not negotiating with your body, but it's doing what it should be doing. Like there shouldn't be any persuading. It's just one motion.
Yeah, which is super cool. And if you think about like that one linchpin and commonality, like that's what you did when you were a football player in college, right? Like you and all your buddies, you may not have had anything else in common, but you had football in common. And then you guys ended up lifting together. You ended up practicing together. You ended up being better. The reality, and this too from a health and wellness perspective, like the only metric that is going to help promote your health over time is consistency. How are people the most consistent? It's when Sally comes out to the gym and she usually goes with Aaron, and Aaron goes and she's like, where the hell is Sally? And then she hits Sally up and is like, Sally, where the fuck are you? Why aren't you at the gym this morning? And then Sally's like, oh, like I want to take a day off. And then Aaron busts her balls and she's like, hey, dude, you need to come in, tomorrow when we're supposed to be here. And it's just like a little bit of the accountability, a little bit of the community. And then you're getting reps, you're having fun, which I feel like too, dude, gosh, it's so sad in my eyes. Like adults, especially ones that don't have kids at the time, at least I've noticed this, and maybe you have as well, struggle to just have fun and like really embrace that part of like
give yourself permission to have fun,
dude, for sure. And it's like, oh my gosh, like what do you find joy in? Like what are the things that you enjoy? And what's cool, and I've talked with a couple of like parents about this, and obviously I don't know this, and you have kids, so you would potentially be able to shed some light on it, is they're like, kids remind you like have fun and to like do stuff, and like it's okay to be silly. Like nobody really cares that much, and be able to hang out with them like that.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. I think we're a lot harder on ourselves than I think we all should be. And I think that biggest piece is giving yourself permission, that it's okay, that it is okay to have fun. And that can look like anything, right? Like that fun, like going to the gym can be fun. Like getting a good workout, like that should be fun. I don't think that's the thing too, where this concept kind of came from. It's like, I'd get off work or I'd have a night flight or something. It's like, well, shoot, I wanna hit the range, or I wanna play, I wanna work out. But it kind of started to feel more like chores. Like I was like, I want to get better, I want to get stronger, but it's starting to feel almost like an obligation versus like a reward. And that's exactly what it is. Like I gotta remember how like it's super rewarding to be able to do these things before I go, fly a helicopter, after I fly, like those are it's all sweet, it's all fun. It's just a matter of how I frame it. And I think that's why we're like, okay, if we can make a space where it is enjoyable, where you can get dialed in, you can be disciplined, but also you can relax, you can woosah, you can, like, put the palms down and just kind of have your space to take a pause for a minute. Yeah. And I think, yeah, I think you hit it on for sure with that one.
Dude, and think about too, right? If you are to close your eyes and think about the stereotypical golfer's build in the age 40 to 50, actually, I'll take that back, from the ages 30 to 60. What does that
Mhm.
person look like? They're struggling to get in and out of the golf cart. They probably couldn't
Yeah.
even walk 18 holes.
Yeah.
They're, probably got the beer gut, the dad bod thing
Yeah.
going on. Like, think about like having a space where not only are you going to go and play golf and you're going to be better at it, you're also going to look a little bit better naked. You're also going to have a little bit more confidence. You're also going to be able to get in and out of the seat better. Like there's a lot of benefits to strength training, just from longevity,
Absolutely.
preventing osteoporosis, and
Yep.
especially in women, right? Like they're typically the most, I'll say, at risk as you start to age, and it just finds all these things and is able to kind of to keep you. That what's the saying? Thick thighs save lives, and there's like full
Yeah.
documented. There's
Yeah.
documented studies at this point that's like, hey, the muscle mass in your legs is a direct indicator for longevity and like lifespan. And you want to talk about like people all trying to biohack and, oh, I'm going to put this peptide in, or I'm going to take Ozempic or whatever. Like, why don't we start with the things that are like
Yeah. That
free
you can
and or
easily control. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That typical, you have your typical golfer's body, whatever that may be. And I'm sure there's studies out there that translates to, maybe this diaphragm or this build can translate to, you know, whatever power or gaming or everything.
John
But we
Daly
also
is an anomaly, bro. I just
there
want to
you
say,
go.
like, nobody
Yeah,
gets up there, smokes a pack of
yeah,
cigarettes, eats Skittles, and
yeah,
drinks beer, and does
yeah,
that for forever. It's just
yeah,
that's
for
some.
sure. Exactly. But we also want to our big thing too is like while we're working on, the body, a lot of it's in the mind, right? Like that's where the courses are all different shapes, they're all different yardages. But what doesn't change is up here. I think for me too, that's those 2 hours or that 1 hour at the sim or those 4 hours on the course where, nothing else really matters. Where I'm only as good as that next shot. And that's kind of where you can kind of pause and dial it back a little bit. It's like y- nothing else like, the bills or the cars or work, whatever problems are out there. It's like I like none of that is gonna shape what's gonna happen in these next couple of seconds from me getting the club out to hitting the ball. um and I think that's something that has really helped me. It's because I never really had that, I guess, that therapeutic escape to find something where I can pause and breathe and uh it's almost like not to be like cheesy, but it's almost like a meditative state where you can, everybody kind of has their thing, whether it be, archery or legitimate, meditation or yoga, but it's kind of that small escape that I can use it for that. It can be a tool to unwind, but kind of like we talked about, it can also be something where you can build that camaraderie. But across both lenses, it's also something that I can work on off the course. Like we've been hitting on this whole time is, in the gym. And for me personally, it's like who doesn't feel better or is having a better time when they're performing better. And and especially up here with, there's so many, it's a heavy white collar government contracting kind of space where, yeah, if that guy wants to, go secure that deal, it's like, they're going to golf courses and, being good, playing well is a catalyst to, I don't know. I think there's kind of like that. There's a small little ego in there, but it's like, yeah, when you're playing pretty well, it's like, okay, like you kind of have like a little bit more, you feel like there's a little bit more leverage. Like ball's kind of a little
There's
bit
more
more.
swagger and shit, dude. You're just being more confident in general, right? Like there's
Right.
something to
Exactly.
performing well, and that's like,
Exactly.
and that, and I'm sure at this point, and even how long you've been playing, like, dude, there's like the amount of work that you put in outside directly translates to your ability to play in
Exactly.
game, right?
And for
Like,
the record, for everybody who is listening or will listen, I am still not good. But you know what? There's always that pursuit. It's that pursuit of getting better.
dude, for the record, nobody is good at this game. I know a lot of
That's true.
people.
If you're good at golf, you don't that like you don't have a day job. Like that is what you're doing. You're on the Corn Ferry, you're PGA. But yeah, everybody has their day out there. So
Yeah,
that's
dude. You know what? I'll say it too. Like, I went out and played with people that have claimed to me that they shot like they're consistently in the low 80s or like not to put numbers to it, but I'm gonna put numbers to it for a second.
yeah,
They're like, oh yeah, dude, I shoot like at 82, 84, and I'm like, oh man, like these guys are gonna be like, you're gonna be a stick, right? Like
yeah,
you're not like muffing shots, and then you get out there, and then you're like, what'd you get on that hole? And they're like, oh, I got like a 4, and I'm like, bro, I just saw you muff like 4 shots over your
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
Like I
So what
know
do we
you
got
didn't get a 4 dog, and it's like, oh, you scored at 82 when you played alone, and your buddies
there?
were
Right.
like holding your
Yeah.
hand,
Got it.
with the scorecard, or you
Yeah.
took 7 mulligans. But yeah, no, the game is fun, man. It is a, I'll say, like, for you guys probably too, especially now, it's probably seasonal as well, which I have to imagine is like a really big piece of why you guys are trying to have the facility, right? Like, especially this year, you guys got dumped on with snow, didn't you? Like,
Yeah, so I mean, the snow is finally melting this past week as I'm looking out the window, but right now it's 39 and raining, so it's just like it ebbs and flows. And I think that's the thing too, like, yeah, that I think the demand, especially for that indoor space, will for sure be cyclical. Like anywhere else, even in Florida when it's hot, or you have the afternoon thunderstorms, or here where, things shut down for 3 or 4 months. And I think that's where we want to kind of combat that rhythmic up and down demand is by offering that gym piece. Kind of like what I alluded to earlier. We don't want to be that destination spot where you're going once a week, every other week, once a month. Top Golf is awesome, but like you're going there to socialize. We want to also be that, offer that gym space where you're going 3 or 4 times a week, 5 times a week. You're dropping in every day, even if you're not hitting the sim. It's like it's still a spot where you can work out. You could still, hit the sauna, cold plunge, all those other items. And if it's a day where you do, I don't, your rest day, you still have those recovery tools that can get you right. And I think that's where we want to combat that cyclical pattern of being dependent on the weather. You have your fair weather golfers, but we don't want to be a fair weather facility or brand. We want to be that consistent every day. Yeah, it's like I'm going to work out 5 days this week, but one day is going to be active recovery playing, and one day is going to be straight up just recovery where I'm going to hit the sauna or do contrast therapy or hit the foam rollers. So we want to be something that can be constant across the board every day for everybody.
yeah, which is cool because you'll have all the pieces that you kind of need to put together. And we tell people all the time, like, I'll get somebody who's really like juiced up about training and stuff, and I'll be totally honest. Like for the most part, some people like will come and ask. They'll be like, "Hey, dude, like, I really want to like get a like workout plan. I want to come like train with you." And I'm like, "Dude, like, if the only thing you want is a workout plan, like, why aren't you going on ChatGPT and telling it your goals and telling it like what you want to do, how long you want to be in the gym, and like letting it rip, right?" we are this similar to you in the way, like, this is a community. I coach nutrition and I don't give somebody a meal plan. I'm not like telling you what to eat. We're getting like kind of intimate in somebody's like nutrition. I'm like seeing the food that you're eating. We're analyzing habits. We're like, hey, I'm a habitual snacker by trade, myself included, right? So I come home from work and I'm like starving. And I used to have snacks in the fridge that were at eye level that were not the healthiest snacks, right? Um, when I analyzed that and I brought some awareness to that fact, I was like, oh, if I put like fruit at eye level in the refrigerator, I'm replacing the less than ideal choice. I'm building a little bit more resistance. I'm not throwing that food away. But what I am doing is I'm putting the fruit at eye level. So when I open the fridge up and the first thing I see is an apple, I'm grabbing the apple versus grabbing I'll say Oreos, but who keeps Oreos in the fridge here? Right. But like, that's the analogy is like,
Yeah.
when we do that though, and that's the thing is like, Chat GPT will tell you how to get ripped, right? We're in an age where like information is free and is so readily available, but people lack, and to your point for what you guys are doing at Iron Links, people lack community now, like because they're getting so dependent on all these other things. And I think like having the person to person interaction, whether you're on a Zoom call, whether you're doing a podcast like this, whether you're doing something else, like you still feel the energy. You still have a community of people. You still have people holding you to a line and to your goals. And ChatGPT doesn't do that. It doesn't connect with you. It doesn't have true.
Who knows? Yep. So thank you. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think accountability, that's the thing it's free, but it's hard to have, I think, consistently. Kind of that inner voice that's telling you, reach for the apple and not the Oreos. And also accessibility. If the Oreos aren't there, you're not going to reach for them. If the apple is, you're going to reach for it. And I think a lot of it too is just habitual. Like you're used to or you're comfortable with, you get home and like your mind more so than your body knows it's time to have like a little snack or something. And I think it's building those habit patterns and kind of rewiring them to a little bit where it's like, am I hungry or am I just used to, just having like a little something when I get home? And then when you were mentioning it, like, you know, coming home and being hungry, because that's something I'm working on too. It's like I'm definitely no dietitian. Ironically, my wife, her degree from Texas Tech is in nutrition. Um, but it's like, wait, why am I hungry? It's like I just had lunch, 2 or 3 hours ago. It's like, let me drill into that. Am I just not getting the nutrients or the proper, you know, uh, the proper, I guess, portions or whatever I need at lunch? Is that why I'm hungry now, 2 or 3 hours later? Because I just filled myself up with, BS. I don't know. But I think a lot of it is like kind of drilling a little bit deeper and to see like, dude, why, like, I shouldn't be hungry at this time. And then, like you said, kind of having somebody keeping you accountable is the biggest part. It's like we all are walking around with a computer in our pocket. So we all have access to the same exact information. I I think a big part of it is how resourceful we are. It's easy to sit there and scroll or sit there and find out what you can do to be better. And a lot of it is what I'm learning too to be better at is building in processes or systems into my day to day, not overthinking it, but having it in the sense where I'm not thinking about it. Where I actually read this thing last week where, every single day we are making thousands of decisions. And there's that decision fatigue where you're constantly choosing this or that, this or that. And I mean, this can be as simple as whatever your commute is, and you're listening to Spotify and you're changing the songs, simple stuff like that, where by the time we roll into work, from choosing like what we ate for breakfast, what clothes we put on, to the 15 songs that we listen to, it's like we've already made 20 decisions before we even walked into the door at work. And I think kind of guarding yourself in that space of how can I make less decisions throughout the day will seriously save you some mental space and some peace in that. Where what I'm trying to get better at is if I can look at my next 7 days starting from Sunday on, okay, here's my flight schedule, here's a couple appointments or meetings in between. If I can dial in what I'm going to eat each day for the most part, and when I'm going to work out, those two big factors, if I can have those drilled in and then everything else can kind of ebb and flow around that, it's like, okay, my flight schedule's already made. I know what this is. I already know I have this doctor's appointment or this plumber's come in on, this day and time. Like that's all set in stone. Those aren't things I have to think about. Those are just what they are. But if I can have my two physiological needs met and what I'm going to eat and when I'm going to work out and kind of just start with those baselines moving forward, I feel like it alleviates a lot of inner stress that you probably didn't know I had. And then also kind of in that eating sense, I'm not a big meal. I don't meal prep. I'll go get groceries and kind of have an idea of what I'm going to eat for the week, or at least get like the baseline foods and go from there. But if I can get rid of those two big decisions and kind of slowly chip away at the smaller decisions from there, that's kind of my current path of like mental clarity. And that's kind of where I see that's the space I want Iron Links to be as well. Is like you don't have to decide if, okay, what day am I going to hit the range? What day am I going to work out? What day do I need to recover? It's like you have all these under one roof. This is your one-stop shop for it all. It's like now you just have to decide what order you're going to do it in maybe throughout the week versus what day you're going to do it. Or it kind of gets rid of those decision gates for you. That's why we want to be something that you can come to every day and just choose your destination, choose your path. Um, so that's kind of like the weird rabbit hole I was going on when you mentioned like the Apple thing and like eating. I was like, I remember I heard that. I think it was last weekend. I was listening to something and I'm like, yeah, if I can slowly just dice up and build in these small systems into my life, that's how I can make my life easier. Because especially right now, balancing work, grad school, and getting this business started, I'm like, dude, I'm literally juggling all three. It's like, okay, why don't I just be very intentional on what day or time each thing is going to be? I can give it each its respected time and
Yeah,
effort.
dude. You hit the nail on the head with a lot of, I'll say, coaching tools that we even use here, right? And so, just so everybody knows, Tevin played college football. Tevin still looks like he could play college football. The dude is huge. He's shredded up. Like, let's remember, like, Tevin's got a lot of systems that have worked for him in the past and has a great foundational base and still is in super great shape. The reason is because you've asked these questions, because you've figured out systems, because at the end of the day, like when life gets hectic, a lot of times for a lot of people, the first thing that drops off is their movement. And the second thing that drops off is their food. Like
Mhm.
you're always going to eat something. But if you find Taco Bell on the drive home and you're like, oh man, like life got hectic. I stayed at work an extra 2 hours. I don't have time to make a meal. Now I'm just going to go and snag Taco Bell for the family or for myself. Like that decision then makes, and that potentially becomes a habit. And at the end of the day, when your life is chaos, you fall back on systems and habits that you've built over time. And it doesn't start off typically in the position where you're in, where you've got a great schedule and you're finding ways to eat, ways to train throughout the week, and you're like every Sunday you sit down with that. It's like, no, dude. Most of the time, people are like, okay, step one today. Maybe you're somebody who's never ran before, and instead of setting the goal to run 5 miles every single day, maybe set the goal to just put your shoes on for a week straight, your running
There's
shoes.
a-
And like, and then maybe one day you get outside and you walk 10 steps. And then maybe the next day you walk 100 steps. And like anything above that minimum effective dose, you find as a win, you celebrate that. And these are the things that I think are so unique about like coaching people and finding that is like ChatGPT is not going to tell you that. ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever AI engine you're using, like they're not able to drill into those things like a person is, like these other specialists are. And I would say, for the most part, like if you want somebody to do programming, like you're probably just wasting your money with someone who's programming, because chat can do that. If you're somebody that already has the discipline, the motivation, the whatever, but if you need somebody that's going to help you with true change, and you want like a lifestyle shift and you want to adopt these new systems, that's when you really, really could use a coach. And that's when you could really, really use a community like what you guys are building over at Iron Links, because that is what's going to help keep you consistent. It's going to help you show up and then help drive that change over time. And like you said, dude, we make so many decisions in a day. Like the amount is unreal. If you just decide like, hey, dude, I get out at 4 o'clock in the evening, and every day I'm at Iron Links from 4:30 to 5:30. And you know what? All you do is you say, it doesn't matter what I do when I walk in. What matters is that I'm there. You could stand there and bullshit with a best friend who's there at the same time. But if you're there every single day, or 3 times a week, whatever the clip is that you find that you can sustain, you're going to get better. One, you're going to get better at the game of golf. Two, you're going to get stronger. Three, you're probably going to have the recovery piece that's going to be integral to you performing on and off the course, and then even in your job, right? Like, you want to talk about confidence when you walk in a room. Like, who's more confident, the guy who's shredded and looks like Tevin, or the guy who looks like the golf bod, dad bod thing that we were talking about before? Like, it's got the beer gut and gets in and out of the car. Like, who's closing more deals, man? Like, the reality is that's the truth. And your body's your business card, and that's like just such a true statement. And
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And so many
That's
factors
good.
in
Yeah.
life. So, I mean, think about that. Not just from a training standpoint, from a habit standpoint. I think it's super cool how you guys are integrating all of those things together into the space.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. And, I understand, like, life obviously happens. It's like, yeah, I had to stay the extra 2 hours at work, and, now I have to be faced with the decision if I'm going to, don't have time to quote, don't have time to cook or whatever it may be. But I think, it does start with that consciousness that you need to have systems in place. Cause I think, I'm definitely guilty of it. I kind of just like go, I'm a go with the flow person, but I'm realizing too, as a little bit more things are stacked on my plate, it's like I also need to have a process in place on kind of a generality of what my week looks like. I know that, Monday mornings are going to be dedicated to like my schoolwork. Or if I'm flying, okay, cool. That'll be Tuesday mornings. I just kind of have like these small contingencies and things in place where I can, uh, you know, I have like these fallbacks on, I can make sure I'm constantly progressing on the things that I need to work on.
Yeah, and you're prioritizing, right? Like you're
Yeah,
figuring.
I guess, yeah, that's generally what it is, right? It's prioritizing. And I think, you said like people need that coach that can kind of guide them in that sense. And I'll say, being super fortunate for us, we've had that regiment built into us through the military, that teaches that, that time discipline, that structure. And I have to remind myself that not everybody has that, or they weren't given that opportunity to kind of see kind of what that regimented structure looks like. So, and that's completely fair. That's just how it goes. It's like, but then there's always ways to make your day to day more structured. I want to say that with the caveat too, that sometimes it's also good to remind yourself to unplug. And even as last night, I'm, hunched over the computer, posture's probably bad. I'm over here doing homework and then kind of bouncing between that and some work stuff. And it's, been a relatively long week. And my wife's like, why don't let's just go get a, quick drink over a glass of wine, whatever, at Shirlington. So, which is about a mile down the street. I'm like, you know what? This isn't going anywhere. I know I had like this plan to get all this done, but sometimes like to kind of unplug and get out the matrix for a minute and make yourself kind of woosah and reset. That's exactly what I did. I literally closed my laptop right there at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I was like, all right, let's just go. So we went, and I had to remind myself too, it's like while I'm sitting here doing this, like that's also a big part of my health too, is like obviously my marriage life, my relationship. And like, okay, I had all this time for the stuff that's on paper, I got to also realize like there's still life happening around me, and I need to find that balance too, where it's like, you know what? I know I said I would have like this to-do list done today, but even if it's not done tomorrow, it's going to be okay. And I think having that healthy conversation with yourself is it's necessary. And for me, as soon as we got in the car and we drove the 4 minutes, 5 minutes to this little Italian spot and had a glass of wine, I was like, okay, yeah, I this was like my small reset just to kind of woo-saw myself and recage a little bit and know that, okay, like I like everything doesn't have to happen today. Change is not going to happen overnight, but also remembering yourself that, hey, like we're alive and healthy right now. Let's go enjoy that. And that's what we did. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it too, is kind of having that balance while life does get busy. It's important to unplug a little bit and enjoy it along the way, even if it means, all right, cool. Like I said, we were gonna eat we were gonna do this on Wednesday. It's like, now we're not. We're gonna go for a walk instead for, an hour or two, or we're gonna go to the park, or whatever it may be. It's like that doesn't. You have to remind yourself like that. You still need to do those little small things in between.
Yeah, and that I'll say a couple things. One, like your community of people that you're bringing together at this facility are probably going to be high achievers, right?
Hmm.
And this is something in particular that you're speaking and I'm speaking directly right now to anybody who is a high achiever. Like, if you're getting so busy working in your life versus on your life, you're going to end up going down this rabbit hole of like just grind, do this thing, make that sale, do that X, Y, or Z. And like, to be honest, you're probably going to be sitting on your deathbed at some point. You're going to be like, why did I do all this? Like, I didn't enjoy those things, or maybe you did enjoy it, but then you just negated all of those other things, like your relationship life, your community support, your maybe you went really fast, but you didn't have a group around you. Like all those things, I think, are just so important and critical. Like making you a well-rounded person, not just
Hmm.
having all of this, And the other saying is like, don't for the health people out there is like, don't let your fitness steal from your fitness, right? If you're spending 4 or 5 hours in the gym and then you come home and you're an awful parent or you're an awful spouse, like what is it worth, dude? Like why does that matter? Those are the things that are really gonna that are gonna come back to get you, even if you have short term success. I'll
Beautiful.
caveat all of that with the same things that you're kind of talking about. Is like take those times to reset. Maybe you pop into Iron Links and you're like initially you're like, oh dude, I was gonna this morning you had this workout written, you're gonna go and get it, and you're gonna make it happen. Maybe it's like this big kettlebell flow and you're gonna be in there for an hour. And you get there and you're like, dude, today was mentally terrible. I want to go smack some balls and I want to sit in a sauna. And you know what? That is still a win, dude, because you showed up, you made it happen, and then you were able to unplug and reset and then go back and be the best parent, spouse, person that you could be for the people around you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, giving yourself that grace is a big one. And while we're while we're building this business and this brand, I constantly ask myself like, why am I doing this? And obviously, like we want to create something of our own and kind of have that gateway, you know, 5, 10 years from now. I guess 10 years being like, when I am out the Coast Guard, and this is something that we are generating and that we're doing every day. And the big thing I ask myself is the why. Like, why am I doing this? And it goes all the way back to that initial problem. It's like, well, that problem was I want to play golf and work out. And why do I want to do those two things? And it's because, I like the camaraderie. I want to look good doing it. I want to feel good doing it. And then drilling even deeper, it's like, well, I love playing, I love going to golf courses and traveling and doing that stuff with my wife and my son. And so I think when I constantly see myself like last night, I'm hunched over the computer and it's been a long week and I'm doing this and I'm like, well, why am I doing this? It's like I'm doing this to build a life to spend more time with my family. It's like when my wife's sitting right here and I'm in the computer, it's like, why did I can literally do that right now. It's like, so that I have to kind of recage and step out of myself real quick. It's like, well, we're building this so we can have this life and enjoy it with each other. But it's like, also got to remember, like, we're enjoying this and each other along the way. So that's when I was like, all right, cool, let's close it and let's go enjoy tonight. Like, this is right now. This is the present. And I think that's that balance where I'm trying to find myself too, even if it's, once this is up and running, it's like, yeah, you got to give yourself that permission that it's okay to, man, I was feeling like this workout or this or the other, but it's like, I still showed up, or, whatever avenue that may look like. It's like, okay, it's not even admitting defeat. It's admitting to yourself that you give yourself permission that it's okay to change. You have your goals, but you're also understanding that sometimes up here is a little tired, even if like the body is not. And sometimes that's a lot of the opposite too, is like you need to push yourself through that. I think a lot of it is just really just knowing when to turn it on and off.
Yeah, dude. I feel like we could go on for forever talking about it. Like the one thing that I like to tell people in regards to this particular thing is like, hey, you can Google Michael Jordan's training program and ChatGPT it, and you'll see probably something similar to like what he did. Maybe it doesn't have it exactly, but you're not Michael Jordan. You don't have the mental capacity to go and perform that way because you haven't learned the structure, the capabilities, the way. And he was probably somebody who struggled to turn it off. And I think people that are super successful, whether they're in sport or whatever, also struggle to do that, whether in business. But again, like I think back to that person who's sitting there on their deathbed and is like, what do you regret? I mean, you're regretting the time that you didn't spend with your partner. You're regretting like, when you're looking to build this thing. And what's funny, I'm gonna leave you with this parable, I guess, that I read that I think is really super interesting. And it's about a fisherman and a businessman, right? So businessman goes out and visits this like small fishing village and meets a fisherman on the side of the we'll call it beach. He's fishing and brings in some fish, and the businessman walks over to him and is like, "Oh, have you ever thought about like getting some other fishermen and having them fish for you and paying them, and then you could bring in more fish?" And the guy's like, "Okay, cool. Like, and then what?" And the guy's like, "Oh, and then you can buy a boat and a fleet, and then you can go out to where all the fish are, and then you can start to do blah blah blah." And he's like, "Okay, and then what?" And then he's like, "And then you can sell it, and then you can like build this business, and over 10 or 15 years, you can do X, Y, or Z." And the guy's like, "And then what?" And then the guy's like, "And then you can retire and enjoy your day and fish on the side of the beach, and then have wine with your wife and enjoy your time." And then he just like smiles and then like casts his rod into the water again, which is like typically we're in the pursuit of the thing that's already right in front of us.
Which, there.
Yeah, totally it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's like sometimes it's right in front of us, and I think it's just realizing like we're already there and just kind of reshaping it how that may look to you.
For sure, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Like I said, I'm gonna leave all the stuff for Iron Links and Shows. I'm also gonna tell you and plug something that we've done. Is I built a 6-week golf strength and mobility program that I'm going to give to you that you can test out in our app at any time for the price of free $99. And then what we'll do is we'll send you some cards that give it to once you guys get this space started. It'll be free for all of your guys that are there too. They can test it out for a month. Basically, what we end up doing is we take somebody's range numbers on day one, and then we go through a 6-week program, and then the last day, and we've had people increase their distance off the tee box like 30 or 40 yards. A lot of their iron play gets better, and we're really just focusing on translatable power, finding those things that are super helpful for people. So we'll give that to you guys in your community, totally free. Send you some cards. And then if people are looking for more help in the nutrition world, definitely feel free to send them our way. We work with pilots, military members, former athletes, current athletes.
Hey, we're all current athletes, man. It's just a matter of where you're going to dial in your game now.
So I'll send stuff out to you guys, and again, we'll put all the stuff in the show notes. Thank you so much, man, for coming. For sure.
Man, thanks for having me. Thank you so much. Awesome catching up. Excited to see where this is going. Excited to see where you're going as well. And I just love that we're both doing our thing while we're enjoying our current dream. So thank you so much.
For sure, man. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Remember, you don't stop playing as you get old. You get old because you stop playing. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Thanks, brother.